What's up, Video 4 Nation? I'm Magic Bard, and for today we're going to be going through a little advanced time-lapse sequence where we're going to add 3 different footage clips together to create some kind of cool little time-lapse. So we're going to do a slow motion clip, the time-lapse, and then we're going to do a sky replacement on top of that. As you may have seen, I'm a little sunburnt, filming in the sun. Wear sunblock. I usually don't wear sunblock, and that's what happens. So always wear sunblock. Editor, filmmakers, major key. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to I Can't See It All, ZHD, and eBank Studios. Really appreciate the love, guys. And if you guys are new to Video 4, hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell icon right next to it, so that way you'll be notified whenever we put out a new tutorial every single week. Putting out a lot of those, so be prepared and get ready. With that being said, let's jump into the tutorial and see what we got going on. If you haven't imported a time-lapse into After Effects before, I'll show you how easy it is. So basically just right click, go to import and file, and then what you'll do is you'll see all your JPEGs of the time-lapse that you end up shooting, and all you have to do is click on that first one, and what After Effects will do is import all of them into one file. It'll know, and that's because of the name of the file. It'll know the sequence of it. So there you go. It's as easy as that. Now you've got your time-lapse imported into After Effects. That easy. So I already have that in here, so I'm just going to delete this one for now. And so what I did was, with Tyler's A7R II, which is a Sony camera, it shoots 120 frames per second slow motion. And so what I did was I shot him on a tripod in slow motion. Okay, and that was at 120 frames per second. And then what I did was right click on the footage, go to interpret footage, click on main, and then right here under conform to frame rate, you'll type in 23.976, okay, because I want to edit this at 24 frames per second. So press OK, and that will create your slow motion clip. Now what you're going to do is take your clip and drag it into a new comp. Now what we're going to do is layer our time lapse. So we'll put this guy right up on here, and then of course the time lapse is going to be a lot larger than our video footage, so we'll have to press S to scale it down, and then press T to open up the opacity and drop it down to about 50%. Press enter, and then kind of gauge where a good, here I'll press S and start moving the scale around until it looks like it links up. So let me see, 15.5, nope, 16.2. So I'll go with 16.2. That looks good enough for me. Okay, so then once we have this all linked up, we can throw this back up to, press T for the opacity, throw it back up to 100%. And now what we want to do is Rotobrush our actor out, okay? So what we're going to do is double click on our actor, click on our Rotobrush tool, and then kind of paint him in. So just select him up right there. Okay, that looks good. And I'll get his legs in there and his feet too. And then what I'll do is subtract by holding down the Alt or Option button and then click dragging. So create your selection, and you can kind of zoom in there by scrolling and move around here. Okay, good. And you can also hold down the command button and then click drag to resize your brush. Okay, and then when we get his feet, it's okay to get a little bit of that grass in there as well. So right here looks about good to me. And what we're going to do is zoom in here so we can see a little better by pressing the plus sign a couple of times, and then moving over so we can see what we're working with. Drag this bad boy out for the whole clip. So I'm going to hit minus to see, and then drag it out all the way to the end of the clip, because that's what we want to matte out. That's what we want the roto brush to be checking. And I'll zoom out here. And then basically what I would do is press the page down button and kind of watch my roto brush take shape and make sure that everything is looking as I want it, which is basically our actor inside of our pink lines. Okay, and then if anything messes up as I'm page down, I would just fix my matte. So once I feel pretty confident that After Effects has got what I'm looking at, got what I want, I'm going to click on this freeze button, and it will, and then After Effects will create my mask for me. Okay, cool. So now we have our rotoscoped actor right here, and it looks pretty good. It looks like he's there. I mean, unless if someone's zooming into your clip, they can't really tell that he's artificially here unless if they look at his feet and see that the grass doesn't actually match up in the dirt. So what I would do there is we can do a little bit of color correction really quickly by adding a curves to our actor, and then kind of just dragging down the darkness to until it looks like the grass is matching up, which is about right here. Okay, I mean, now it really blends in. So now we're looking good. Actors in frame, and I like it. Okay, now what we're gonna do is replace this guy, because this guy is really boring, and whenever you have a time lapse, there's always really cool, I don't know, clouds or stuff going on in the background, so we want to fix that one. So what we're gonna do is let's just hide our actor Tyler layer for now, and we're just gonna work with our time lapse, okay? And what we're going to do is start to key out our sky. So go into your effects and presets, type in key light, and drag that bad boy onto here. And let's go to screen color and take our color selector, and let's select some of that sky, and we start to make that sky disappear. So let's turn up the screen gain a tad. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Screen balance fine with me. And then now what you guys can do is really mess around with these parameters in order to get the perfect replacement that you want. All right. So now the problem with doing some sky replacements when you're working with a lake as well is sometimes the lake is reflecting what's happening in the sky. So if I have a blue sky, I'm going to have a blue lake as well, and that's why you see that some of my lake is disappearing. So how to fix that is we're going to duplicate this a couple of times. But before we do that, let's create a mask for our time-lapse scene. And what the mask will be is our horizon. Just start to create a line around the mountains. And don't worry about this tree in the way. Just kind of follow out where you think the mountain will be. And now that you've got your matte out, what we're going to do is kind of mess around with this key light. So we're going to have a few layers, as we said before. And on our bottom layer, which is the layer we're working on right here, we're not going to use this key light. Okay, so let's just let's duplicate this by pressing Command D. Okay, and then name this one top layer, or time lapse top layer, and then name this time lapse bottom layer. On this bottom layer, all right, let's turn off the top layer for now. On the bottom layer, let's turn off the key light. All right, so now everything's back to normal. On the top layer, we're going to turn that one on, open up our masks, and select subtract. Okay, so now this will do, let me just solo this to show you that now we're working with only our top. So now let's really fix our matte out. So what I'm going to do is, you know, I can double check what's going on by using my toggle transparency grid, and what I'll also do is add a couple of other effects. So I'll type in color key, I'll drop that one under my key light, and then I'll select the color that's not coming out, which is this sort of grayish color. So I'll select that and then turn up the color tolerance until that starts to go away. Now it's kind of hard to see with this transparency grid, so that's why I like to toggle back and forth to the pure black. Okay. And so that's looking pretty good. I'll turn the feather up to maybe 1 pixel. And okay, now we're looking better. Okay, so now we can throw in a sky and see what that looks like. And then if we have to, we'll mess around with our keying some more. So I have my sky right here. It's a little blue sky. Bring that down. And so this clip is a lot bigger, so I'll kind of drag that down and move it around until it looks like some cool sky. Alright, so right there is good for me. And now this is going to be another time-lapse sky that I have right here. And now we have some serious movement of clouds moving around. And because our lake is moving so quickly, it almost looks like it's reflecting off of the sky. So I'm happy with that. That looks good. Now we can add Tyler back in here. And what we've got is our, relatively quick edit on creating a more dynamic time-lapse video. And guys, that's essentially the whole effect right there. The other thing I would do is, because the sky is, really saturated right now, doesn't really blend in, I would add another time-lapse top layer. Okay, so just Control D to duplicate that. Go into your effects and just turn off your key light, turn off your color key, so it'll bring in our original sky. And then go to opacity by pressing T, and then turn your opacity down to 50%. And what that'll do is take away some of the saturation from your other sky time lapse. Okay, so we can turn that on and off to kind of show you what we're dealing with here. And it really blends in our sky a little more. If you look really closely, you can see this sort of line right here that we should probably get rid of as well. And what that is our mask. So all we have to do is go into our top layer and open up our mask expansion and just do 1 pixel and see what that looks like. Nope, the other way, -1 pixels. -4 pixels. And that will get rid of your line. Alright, so let's bring that back. Make sure everything looks fine and dandy, which it does. And I love it. So guys, this is sort of a basic sky. We have clouds moving around. I just kind of want to show you that really quickly. I mean, if you really want to go wild with this one, you could throw in a night sky with stars and stuff and, go really crazy with it. But yeah, that's the effect. And we're basically done. I mean, if you want to add some more, I'd select the whole thing, go to layer, pre-compose, and you probably know what I'm doing based off of my other tutorials. What I'll do is start it from the beginning, press S, keyframe it by clicking on this stopwatch, press P, keyframe the position as well, click on that stopwatch, press U so you can see both your keyframes, drag it to the very end, and we're going to add a zoom effect in there. Okay? And then we'll move the position around to our ending mark. Right there. And then that is the effect. Alright guys, I hope that tutorial helped you out. If it did, definitely leave us a like and let us know in the comments section if there's anything you want to learn about, any new type of visual effects you may have seen, an Instagram video that someone made that you want to know how to do their little movie magic trick. Let us know in the comments section. We'll try to address them as soon as possible. That's it for today. This is video 4 on Magic Bard, and I'll see you guys on the next one.